Right guys, welcome back to another video on the channel today. And as I said, every Tuesday I'll be making some sort of talk. This sort of video is just talking about the talk of the town in world football. And obviously in today's video, there's a lot of talk about Saudi Arabia and what they're doing in football at the moment. So that will be the discussion for today's video. But before we start, please do give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos and YouTube shorts that will be coming out today and obviously for the rest of the summer. Obviously, I'm thinking there'll probably just be one YouTube short today. So it'll come out just at the same time as this one. So please do check that one out. It's about Dominic Szoboszlai and his links to Newcastle United and whether his release clause is going to be met by the club, but we'll talk about that in that YouTube short. But also, if you guys notice over here around this area, I have reached 300 subscribers, so thank you guys so much. It is for me it feels like a huge achievement because I never ever, whenever I make some burner accounts on YouTube, I never reached 300. So for me it's a personal success that I even reached 300 because it was only just a year ago I only had like around 30 subscribers. Now I'm on above 300. So thank you guys so much for subscribing to the channel. And if you're new, please what are you doing? Subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. But let's get on to what the topic is for today's video, and that is Saudi Arabia and what they're doing in football. So I'm mostly going to be talking about just what I think, my opinion on what Saudi Arabia is doing and whether it's going to be a good thing for football or a bad thing for football. Maybe that should be the debate. Good or bad? Well, that's what we're going to find out. So a little bit of a background. Saudi Arabia, when we talk about Saudi Arabia, we're going to be talking about the Public Investment Fund, which is separate from the Saudi government, but it is kind of run by the Saudi government, but it's like a company of the Saudi government, if that makes sense. But yeah, a background on PIF, that's what I'm just going to call it from now. I'm not going to use the full name. PIF own 4 Saudi clubs. Obviously they own my club Newcastle United, so I kind of have, I wouldn't say first-hand experience or know what it is about and everything, but I have experienced what they have helped my club over the past 18 months since the takeover. But Saudi Arabia do own us, the Saudi Arabia PIF, whatever you want to call it, owns 4 Saudi clubs: Al Nassr, where Cristiano Ronaldo plays; Al Ittihad, where Benzema plays, I think; Al Ahly, and Al Hilal, where I think Ruben Neves will be playing this summer or whatever, this season for the Saudi club. But yeah, about it. So when you think about the players that are being offered to go to Saudi Arabia, the names I've already said: Cristiano Ronaldo, Benzema, Ruben Neves, but also you have N'Golo Kante, Mahrez, Ziyech, and all these other players are being offered huge money, huge wages to join the Saudi league. And yes, I know it's about, oh, they're only going there because of the money, one last big payday or whatever. But if anyone was to offer you, I don't know what crazy amounts of money per week to play football, I bet you would take it. For me, I usually pick what can I earn more to make sure that I am successful down the road beyond football. If I want to build a legacy, that's cool, but sometimes it is the money that talks, and money does talk in football. That's just my opinion. But one of the main things that a lot of people are talking about Saudi Arabia is Saudi Arabia China, People's Republic of China 2.0, or is this an actual new globalization of football, whereby non-European leagues like Saudi Arabia and more recently China, Japan, the US, and all these other leagues become a little bit more attractive for the international audience, not just the local audience, but also international audience, to probably even be invested in watching, and maybe other companies from from abroad sponsoring these sort of football clubs that are outside of Europe. A lot of the non-European leagues, like the J League in Japan, or the MLS in the US, and all these other leagues from around the world that actually have a good level of football, probably not as high as it is in Europe, but a lot of the focus in football has always been European centric, whereby the best players go to Europe, they succeed, and then at the tail end of their career they retire or go to have one last payday in Saudi Arabia or China or wherever it was at that time. But when you see that Saudi Arabia are paying for players like a Mahrez, and obviously I've seen one report, even though I don't think it will happen, Son Heung-min, obviously Ruben Neves will be going to Saudi Arabia. When you get players of a little bit of a younger profile who are even going into the prime or are in their prime going to Saudi Arabia, it does raise the profile of the league without a doubt. Is Ruben Neves the best player? No, but he is a very, very good footballer. I'm just saying. And this is what I'm going to be saying. People will criticize, oh, it's Saudi Arabia, they're so bad people or whatever. For me, my stance on, let's say, politics and football, and this is I don't know how controversial it will be. What I usually look at, whatever the ownership of any club is, I usually only focus on what I know, which is the football club, how they run the football club. I don't look at the politics. I don't look at how they made the money, whether it's clean money, dirty money, oil money, whatever. It's all the money have the same value, regardless of how bad it's from or how good it's from or whatever. And it's about having that right investment from people that want to invest in football. So for me, I don't think the Saudi League or PIF are going to be playing second best. And I think I generally believe that Saudi Arabia or the league has a plan in place. Obviously, there's reports that they want to host the World Cup in 2030 or 34, whatever it may be. And the way to do it is build up a portfolio of this is what we can do. And having a very competitive league can help build a huge profile of the league itself. Obviously, some examples is, let's say, the MLS. It came just a year or two after the US hosted the 1994 World Cup, and now the MLS is, I guess, profitable. A few people watch it. You look at the J League in Japan. It was, I think, also formed around 1996, 5-6 years before Japan co-hosted the 2002 World Cup. So in a way, this is Saudi Arabia going through that sort of early stage movement of just one random league to now a league that people will have their focus on. But maybe Saudi Arabia will be able to push beyond what the J League and the MLS has done over the past few years. And this is where I don't think Saudi Arabia will be playing second best. In terms of the globalization of football, I think Saudi Arabia have a plan to invest not only in their own league but also in football. Obviously, Newcastle United and all that sort of stuff. This is where football is. Football is progressing towards money talks, and I think in Saudi Arabia, money will talk, and all these other leagues. So I will say, don't underestimate Saudi Arabia to have learned from the mistakes of the People's Republic of China from a few years back. And obviously now we've seen that the Chinese Super League has not really grown since the mid to late 2010s. And we have seen Saudi Arabia, or the ownership, the PIF, having a proper infrastructure and a plan for the future. And this is where people will say, oh, Saudi Arabia will make the same mistakes as China or whatever. Oh, they're not going to have a big footprint in football. I personally think Saudi Arabia will have a big footprint in football. in the next 10 to 15 years. If they're going to make the league competitive, maybe even bringing in, you know, the Ronaldos, the Benzemas, and even players in and around their prime potentially, like a Ruben Neves, Ronaldo Silva, and all that sort of players into the league to make sure that their league is at least watchable for international audiences. Because who from, let's say, South America will be watching the Saudi league? You know, to make your league attractive, you have to have some big names, or at least the best players in your league. That's why people rate, oh, the Premier League is the best league in the world or whatever. And it's because the Premier League also has money. The Premier League spends the most amount of money in Europe, and that's why English clubs have been successful over the past 5-6 years in European competition as well. Now, obviously Saudi Arabia is not in the Champions League, the UEFA Champions League, but there is an Asian Champions League. I think when you look at what Saudi Arabia is going to be doing in football, I think it cannot be underestimated what they can do in football. And I just think that football in general and how people will be looking at football in 10-15 years time, I think Saudi Arabia will make a big footprint, a big foothold in football in the next 10-15 years. So do I say, is Saudi Arabia doing good or doing bad in terms of the how they're doing about this Saudi league and all those sort of stuff? Again, as I said, I only look at what they are doing in the football sense. I do not look at what they're doing politically or whatever, because for one, I don't have much knowledge on it, and two, I don't really want to sound like a... I'm not going to say it, so I'll leave it at that. But I do think Saudi Arabia are going to make a huge marker on football. So yeah, that's really what I want to say about Saudi Arabia and the Saudi League in this sort of video. Potentially, I might be in the minority and maybe controversial, but I want, you know, at least express my opinion and all that. And that's just what football is all about: having conversation, having an open dialogue. Maybe you guys disagree, maybe you guys agree with me. Put it down in the comments, and you know, I get to chat with all of you in the comment section below. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Obviously, as I said, there is a YouTube short just recently out talking about Newcastle United transfer news, specifically on Dominic Szoboszlai and a little bit of James Maddison. So please do check that one out. So yeah, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. As I said, I've just reached 300. Let's try to get 400. If I can reach 400 in like the next 2-3 months, that would be absolutely amazing. I would be speechless if I can even grow this channel very fast like that. You know, I never expected 300, you know, a year ago. But thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, check my YouTube short. Maybe I'll put it in an annotation here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.